is a starter's gun. It's like a track meet.
3-2 St. Louis, and Ozzie Smith flied to left and grounded out 0 for 2. For Vince Coleman, that infield single, he has hit in 10 straight. High foul off to the left of the plate. Davis trying to get under it. No play. Boy, you talk about little ball.
Oh,
it doesn't get any smaller. This is microscopic ball here in St. Louis, and they are leading 3-2. By the way, thanks to Elliot Kalb doing some research for us, we told you that balk by Sutcliffe was the 100. Well, that doesn't mean anything unless you can put it in perspective. Last year, in the entire year, there was 176. At the rate we're going, we'll have close to 300. So right away you say, they're really calling balks this year.
Coleman wants to go, Vin.
Who's going to say no to a guy who's stolen 40? Both feet on the rug. Boy, are they trying to burn Sutcliffe.
And I'll tell you, the infield back on their heels, and you can understand it. You got to worry about the runners. You got to worry about if they hit the ball on the ground, boy, you got to spring into action.
1-2. There, no, he stopped.
He was going. He got a bad jump. He threw his left foot there. He was trying to dig it in, and Sutcliffe kind of quick pitched it, but he wanted to go. You can see him smiling. He had it all going. Jody would have gotten him, though.
2-2 to Ozzie Smith. 3-2 St. Louis in the fifth. For the Cubs in the sixth, excuse me, Joe, Noche, Mumphrey, and Dawson due up.
He's got him measured. He's got him measured. Coleman is hoping that he could go on this pitch because he's got him measured. Boy, you'd love to be able to pitch out, but 2-2 you can't.
He doesn't go, and there's a fly ball to right field. Andre Dawson is right there. And they put the lid on the fifth, but not before the Cardinals scurry for 2 and lead 3-2 at the end of 5. Here's another edition of Characters of the Game.
Arms out there on that pitch, and boom, it's 2 runs, but Sutcliffe made a great pitch.
Willie McGee struck out, and if you remember in the 4th inning, hit a high twisting fly ball into the left field corner, and Jerry Mumphrey made a fine running catch to take an extra base hit and an RBI away from him. McGee last night knocked in 3 of the 4 Cardinal runs, and he had 2 doubles and a triple. He is still not 100% coming off a leg injury, but he'll do. In 1985, remember, he led the National League in hitting. And then gave back almost 100 points in batting last year. In this heat, and with Sutcliffe working so hard, when you look at the Cubs in the 7th, Moreland, Dunston, Martinez, and then Sutcliffe is due up 4th. So they might be thinking about a hitter for him as well. He's made 90 pitches. Sutcliffe trying to be the first National League pitcher to win 9. Trying to prevent the Cubs from losing 3 straight for the first time this year. Line drive, base hit to right. Here comes Tommy Herr to score. So McGee picks him up, and it's 4-2 St. Louis.
Dawson knows he doesn't have a chance for her and fires it into second base, hoping to keep that double play in order and hoping to get it.
So Sutcliffe, well, if you're going to compete today, it would be skins against the shirts, and there aren't too many shirts.
Catcher Tony Pena.
Here's to you. Dickie Knowles will now come in from the Cub bullpen after a great bit of relief pitching by Bill Dawley. And Knowles' job is to hold the Cardinals and hope that Mumphrey, Dawson, Durham, and company can play catch-up. Knowles will be pitching to Tony Pena. Cardinals with 2 saves and 4 wins. Pena today is 2 for 2. Right. Tony hitting .253. Knowles has done very well. Looks like he's kissing his bat. He loves. Well, he doesn't love his bat. He likes it very much.
He talks to it. He said, "Come on, baby, get a hit. Come on, a lot of hits in there."
1-1. Breaking ball in the dirt. Now, if you love your bat, you wouldn't go get it in the dirt chasing that pitch.
Well, he's the first player I ever saw get emotionally involved with the bat.
I've heard of. He tells stories of ball players taking their bats to bed and all that kind of stuff. That's the first kiss I've seen applied.
Yeah, that'll be in the record, but most times bats kissed by player in one game.
Daytime. 1-2. Tony fouled it off. He's still up there. 1-2. The count to Tony Pena. Leading off matters in the bottom of the 7th. Cardinals 4 and the Cubs 2.
That foul tip went right off Jody Davis's mask, and as Pena walked by, he tapped him as if to say, "Hang in there, pal."
Yeah, at least there's somebody else who cares.
That's right. He cares. Umpire did what he always does. He checks the ball.
Tony Pena, his mother had a lot to do with his baseball development. Ground ball back to third. Nice hop for Moreland, and a bad throw by Moreland. That is one of the weaknesses of the Cubs in trying to succeed on AstroTurf, moving Keith Moreland to third base. That is the 14th error that Keith Moreland has made at third base. And after seeing a bad play, let's look at a good one. Last night, Leon Durham hitting against Bob Force. Jose Oquendo in right field, and watch this catch. In a sense, a game saver in a tough 2-1 game at the time, keeping Mumphrey at second base. Now Jose in the game in right field and at the plate. And the bunt. The only play is to first base, so the Cardinals are in business. An error and a sacrifice. So the MVP, the most versatile player, that's the award given Oquendo by his manager, Whitey Herzog. He's done everything they have asked of him and then some.
Red Shane was really singing his praises. He said, "Boy, the guy that's really done it all for us." And I said, "Oquendo?" He said, "You bet."
He's from Puerto Rico. Meanwhile, Gene Michael out to the mound to talk to Dickie Knowles. The error by Keith Moreland, and of course, Moreland has never played third base well. That is to say, in his career prior to today, his fielding average at third base was less than 900. I mean, that's really bad. And now Keith, in trying to learn that position, has committed 14 errors this year. It's tough, and he is hot about it.
He's thinking about it.
Well, he's more than that. He just referred to the puppy of a female dog. Well, here's Vince Coleman. Twice out to the box, once bunting, singled in the 5th inning. And the fake by Knowles. Coleman with the infield single, trying to pick up Pena at second base. Coleman has hit in 10 straight. Four-2 Cardinals, bottom of the 7th.
Dunston was trying to give somebody a signal. I think to capture Jody Davis, but I tell you, late in this game, they've been out there a long time. A little tough to jockey that runner back.
If Pena was a jockey, he looks like he fell off the horse. Right. He will not win the neatness award, but Tony's been everywhere. He has scored once, and he's been on base 3 for 3. He caused Sutcliffe to commit a balk in the 5th inning. Breaking ball on the corner, and no Noche was breaking to the bag to cover on that pitch.
And they had him too, because as Noche broke to the bag and kind of skidded, and he's telling him right now, take a look, Pena was breaking towards third.
Nick Leyva shepherding Pena from the third base coaching box. Rich Hacker coaching at first. 1 out, 7th inning. 4-2 Cardinals. Dickie Knowles trying to get Coleman. On deck, Ozzie Smith. Boy, you talk about bat control. That was a breaking ball that was almost in Jody Davis' mitt. And he waited so long before he hit the ball, he grounded it right into the Cardinal dugout. In the Cub dugout. What's this? It's already past him.
He was sure it was going to be called a strike, and he does what all hitters do when that happens.
And guess
Billy
who
Williams got it, yeah.
You got to look out. He'll hit it back at you.
And it would be a line drive. Won't be a bloop.
0-2 to Vince. And another pickoff. I guess I'll never be able to see Vince Coleman without thinking of the top roller here that almost ate him alive. And that frightening moment during the league championship series in '85. That's where it is now. But when it came up that fateful early evening, it swallowed him up. Curveball. I think he just did take it outside. Hitting .296.
At one time in the clubhouse, the three guys talking were Tudor, Coleman, and Danny Cox. You talk about three guys with freak injuries.
Wow. Just missed with the breaking ball. Two and two, the count to Vince Coleman. 4-2. Cardinals leading the Cubs in the 7th. 1 away. Michael peering out, hoping that Knowles can do the job. And it's hit into left field. Base hit. Charging it is Mumphrey, so they will hold Pena at third. The throw allowed to go through. But a good deke by Moreland to prevent Coleman from going to second base. So Vince Coleman is 2 for 4 as he singles to left. And that'll bring up Ozzie Smith.
He just serves that ball. It's the outside part of the plate. And that's what they've been wanting him to do. And Pena rounds third base, but he's going to be holding all the way. You can see him going to his fake attempt. But Nick was going to hold him all the way.
In the wake of the French Open and in thinking about the Wimbledon tennis coming up, that was just a dink. Coleman just stiff-wristed a little flare into left field. And now Ozzie Smith 0 for 3. But Coleman at first, and Knowles is really in a jam. If the Cardinals use their great leg speed in the 5th and 6th inning, look out now. Coleman with 40 stolen bases. Well, you're really in a spot. Big league hitter at the plate. Great base stealer at first, and balks being called all the time.
You want to signal for a fair catch.
At least. Nice save by Durham, that pitch in the dirt.
You know, I can think of first basemen who I played against that when they did a throw like that would just put a tag on it, run a little bit hard, like jab him in the leg.
Around the knee or anything to take something out of him.
Sting him a little.
He's got a pretty good lead. And they're squeezing, and it's a perfect squeeze. A great squeeze by Ozzie Smith. Scoring is Pena, who reached on the error by Moreland. So if you give the Cardinals an inch, they take it all, and it is 5-2 St. Louis. Perfectly executed. Not a thing Gene Michael can do about it.
Nothing but watch it. It's really out of page 99. Ball is bunted on the ground, past the pitcher. Durham has to feel it. No play at the plate, and very close at first base. Just watch it.
He almost beat the play at first.
Yes,
it took a quick throw from Leon Durham to Paul Noche.
You couldn't diagram that any better.
So we were talking about Ozzie Smith, how he led the National League last year in RBIs without a home run. He is leading the National League in RBIs without a home run this year. And just another reason how he does it. Now, don't misunderstand me. We're not saying he's leading the league in RBIs. We're saying of all the players in the league, without a home run, he is leading. He has 32, and he had 64 last year. 0-1 to count to Tommy Hurd. Pickoff play, wrong side of the bag.
Boy, if you had to use one word to describe the Cardinal attack, it's manufacture.
Bill Coleman, who was bunted to second, waiting to be picked up with 2 out. Cardinals with 1 in the second, 2 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th have run their way to a 5-2 lead. It is somewhat demoralizing for the Cubs because the Cardinals have beaten Chicago 5 of the last 6. The Cubs know that if the Cardinals win this one, they will have beaten them 8 out of 11. The Cubs will then have lost 3 straight for the first time this year, and worst of all, they will be 5 games back. So for the Cubs, they're going to have to shake themselves in the 8th and 9th innings.
Coleman got hit with that throw, as you see him shaking his wrist. But the thing that this does, it just keeps those infielders on edge, and when you've got them on edge, the percentage obviously comes over to your side.
1-1 to count to Tommy Hurd. 2 balls, 1 strike. Worrell begins to stretch out a little bit in the Cardinal bullpen. Fastball ran away. 3-1 to count.
You know the feeling you get playing the Cardinals, Vin, as we see Worrell, is like somebody keeps turning the knob to turn up the pressure a little more, a little more, a little more.
Yeah, they're not going to hammy over the head. They're not a home run hitting team. It's like being eaten to death by a moth. A little nip here, a little bite there, and all of a sudden your head falls off. 3-1 to count to Tommy Hurd. Lined into left, ting-a-ling, and here comes Coleman. The throw not nearly in time. So it is 6-2 St. Louis. And of course, the guy who would love to forget this inning is not Gene Michael, not the 49,000 in the stand, not even Vince Coleman. The guy I'd like to forget it is Keith Moreland at third base. Moreland, who fielded the ground ball by Pena, had plenty of time against the Cardinal catcher and threw it away, and he's been muttering to himself ever since. 6-2 St. Louis. Right. Now, if this game were played in Wrigley Field, which would be baseball's answer to the Rose Bowl, the Cubs, you'd figure, could explode. But in this big ballpark, they're in a lot of trouble. 1-1. Although, to counteract that theory, the Cubs would point to the fact that they are under 500 at home and 8 games above 500 on the road. Jack Clark struck out, walked, and popped up, trying to apply the coup de grace. There goes the runner. Check swing for a strike. The throw sailed away. So Tommy Hurd steals second base.
Jody Davis didn't have a chance. Now, was he set to make a throw? He thought with Clark up there, they'll be hitting away, and Hurd was able to take a lead because Knowles wasn't watching him that close, and the throw really was a sailor. He didn't have a good grip on it, did not throw with the seams, and you could just see it sail off.
That's 3 stolen bases against the Cubs. The Cardinals now have 90 stolen bases this year. Worrell has stopped throwing. Ricky Horton is now throwing in the Cardinal pen.
And if there's one thing, as I said before, that demoralizes a ball club is when the other club is just running on you. It's arm against legs, and Cardinals obviously winning that battle.
On their way to over 200. The Cardinals are the high-flying St. Louis team, and that's ball 4 to Clark, and it brings up Willie McGee. McGee will be the 7th man to come to the plate, and there is nothing Gene Michael can do about it. Willie McGee struck out. Mumphrey took an extra base hit away from him, and then he singled to drive in a run, her, in the 6th inning. Right. Foul off third, back into the seats, and the count 0-2.
When you build a ball club like the Cardinals have built, speed really never has that slump. And you say, well, they don't get on base, they can't run. No, but they can still play pretty good defense, and that means pretty good pitching, because pitching and defense hand in hand. And you should not go into that long losing streak.
Dickie Knowles trying to get an out here and get out of the inning. It's 6-2 Cardinals in the 7th. Ground ball into right field. Base hit. Tommy Herr will score. 7-2 St. Louis. And the bird has flown.
And that ball looked like it was out of the strike zone. It was an artificial surface hit. Once it hit that surface, she just scooted right through there. And Tommy Herr, running all the way, picks up another big run. Here's the pitch. Not a strike. It was out of the strike zone. You see Jody was even down on his knees trying to block it, but once it hit that artificial surface, right through the infield it went.
33-year-old Keith Moreland, a picture of dejection. His error opening up the gates for that 3-run 7th. But of course, he's done a great job day in and day out for the Cubs, whether he's playing the outfield or as he is now playing third base. Leon Durham, first ball hitting, hits into a force play, 5-4 from Terry Pendleton to Tommy Herr. So Durham not around very long. Here's that play again. Ricky Horton starting him with a breaking ball, and it's tapped wide at third. Pendleton with the play in front of him to Herr. The throw to first not in time. So 1 out. Runners at first and third, and Horton will now pitch to Jody Davis. Should he falter, he is backed up by Todd Worrell, who worked an inning into third last night. Comebacker, and they're going to get 1, they're going to get 2, and what a difference watching Jody Davis labor down the line. That pointed up the difference between the two teams. Speed and not to speed. 2 hits and nothing else at the end of 7 1/2. 7-2 St. Louis. Saw Boston 6-4. Tigers began the day 7 1/2 back at Toronto. Boston began the day 11 back. San Diego leading the Giants 4-1. The Giants started the day even with Cincinnati. Cincinnati is at home with Atlanta tonight. Line drive, base hit to center by Coleman. Here comes Oquendo. Martinez's throw is a good throw, and it got away from Jody. And down to second goes Coleman. Davis was in a haste to catch the throw and then make the tag, and he left the ball behind him. He came up with a handful of empty, and the run is in.
Jody tries to backhand the ball. Martinez's throw is a strong one. Instead of going out and getting the ball and coming back, he tried to backhand it, and it cost him. And the other thing it does, Coleman goes to second base. Double play is lost.
And it is 8-2 St. Louis. And with Coleman at second base, here is Ozzie Smith turning around to hit right hand. Here it is. And that's hit into right field, base hit. It'll be the third straight hit, and they had no reason to send Coleman in, not on Andre Dawson's arm. And that's hit to center field for a base hit. Ozzie Smith will hold at second. Coleman scores. 9-2 Cardinals. And when you see this game, you realize the truth in George Will's remark about Cub fans are 90% scar tissue, and a lot of them have decided to leave. So Gene Michael, with his club being hammered now, 9 runs, 14 hits. The Cubs 2 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors. The Cubs will go home and try to heal themselves. Sean Dunston, Dave Martinez. Changeup hit to the left of Dunston. He'll bring it to the bag. So they get the force play, and the Cardinals settle for 2 more and leave 2. At the end of 8, the Cardinals 9 and the Cubs 2.
Reedy came home in that 7th inning too, when his spot was up there with a couple of men on.
And Paul Noche came up with 2 on, 2 out, and struck out. Keith Moreland grounded to short twice, popped up 0 for 3. 9-2 St. Louis, and Ricky Horton trying to put the lid on it now and take it back to the clubhouse. In there, 2-1. And he just reached for a pitch down and away and bangs it into right field. So Moreland, going the other way, gets a base hit.
Shortstop, Sean
And the batter, Sean Dunston. Sean singled to center, scored a run, robbed of a hit on a great diving catch by Pendleton, and then Sean singled again in the 7th. In the 7th, there was still a game going. It was 4-2 Cardinals, and with 1 out, Dunston and Martinez singled. And Dawley turned around and struck out Gary Matthews and Paul Noche, and that was it. You know, the Cubs have hit 12 home runs this year in the 9th inning. I mean, they are accustomed to making noise in the 9th. 0-2. And that's hit right back on a line. They've got 1, they've got 2. So Dernier lines into the double play. 1-3 if you're scoring. That erases Dunston at first. Moreland holding at second, and the batter will be Manny Trio.
Batting for the pitcher, Ed Lynch, number 19.
He was in perfect position, took a good look at second base because he knew he had an easy out at first base, and had Moreland been wandering, might have seen that kind of rare triple play.
So Manny Trio with 2 out in the 9th inning. 9-2 St. Louis. You know, he might very well be lost in the shuffle, but when you think about it, in the 7th inning, Bill Dawley single-handedly turned the inning around and took a lot of steam or air out of the Cub balloon. First and third, 1 out. It was 4-2 St. Louis. The Cubs were ready to make a move, and he struck out Matthews and Noche. And then when Dawley fumbled in the 8th inning, they went to Horton, and Durham hit into a force play, and Davis hit into a double play. It's 9-2 St. Louis in the 9th inning with 2 out. 2-2, and the chant continues here. Sweep, but of course that has to wait until tomorrow. Scott Sanderson and Danny Cox. The Cardinal fans not worrying about tomorrow, they're enjoying today. The Cub fans, they'll have to wait for tomorrow for a rebuttal. Little pop fly. Going out for it is Tommy Hurd. And he'll make the catch, and that's it. The Cardinals are 5 in front of the Cubs. The Cubs, for the first time this year, lose 3 in a row. They were the only team in the National League not to have lost 3 in a row. The Cardinals have beaten the Cubs 8 of 11 to justify their 5-game lead in the National League East. And so Scott Sanderson has a big job tomorrow when he goes against Danny Cox. 9 runs, 14 hits, and no errors. 2 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Cubs. The winning pitcher, Lee Tunnell, after 6 1/3 innings. And Tunnell is 3-1, 1-0, 2-2 lifetime. The losing pitcher, Rick Sutcliffe, who is 8-3, 1-2 this year, 6-6 lifetime. Andre Dawson had a couple of base hits, but one man couldn't do it. One man who certainly did, Vince Coleman, spearheading the attack for the Cardinals. He had 3 hits, drove in 2, scored 2. Coleman's 5th 3-hit game of the year. Everyone in the Cardinal lineup but Jack Clark had a base hit. And of course the Cardinals with 3 stolen bases also showed speed in other areas, notably the base hit by John Morris when he legged it into a double. So this week's NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game is Vince Coleman. And Miller Lite happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Vince Coleman to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. And certainly, Joe, speed reigned supreme.
It certainly did. And you check the box score and speed will show up as far as stolen bases. I know as a ball player you always did that, but it doesn't really tell the story with these Cardinals because the defense based on speed in this big ballpark. And the one thing that they showed today and showed it so well, that they can manufacture the run, and we don't want to keep beating on that, but when you get on and you got the defense on edge, it really shows up, and it did today. Well, the Cardinals won it. Don't go away. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Hang in there, Keith. From the Los Angeles area, raised at Channel Island High School out in Oxnard. And you know, Terry, you talk about Southern California athletes, and there used to be the rumor that they were too laid back. But here you are. You played in 159 games last year, and you're the only Cardinal to play every day. So apparently you're a tougher kid than we would be led to believe.
Well, Vinny, you know, I come out and try to stay healthy and play hard every day, and I've been fortunate enough to do that so far.
Could you tell us about the pitch? We're going to show the folks, including your mom and dad out there in Oxnard, just how you hit it out.
Well, it was a 2-0 pitch, and he threw a high changeup, and I was able to it was high enough where it was down so I can hit the ball hard, and I was able to get on top and hit it hard. Well, you've hit 4 home runs, 2 from either side of the plate. Which side, really, do you have more power? I always say the left side, but everybody else tells me the right, so I'm going to keep swinging hard from both sides, and hopefully I can continue to hit a couple and do the positive things to help this ball club win. You will continue to hit him, but you know, Terry, I bet you if you asked Whitey, he'd say he better bring his glove to the ballpark. How about that play you made at third base? Well, Joe, you're right about Whitey. He does want me to play defense over there, and it's a thing on that play. There was a thing where I was just reacting to the ball. I was playing in, expecting Sean to bunt the ball, and he happened to hit the ball hard right to my left, and I was able to dive and knock it down, and it went right in my glove, but the ball was hit so hard, it knocked the glove off my hand, so I had to pick him up and throw him out. Oh, your mom wasn't embarrassed at all. She said, "They're still my Terry." All right. Listen, you once made a quote, at least it's attributed to you. You said, if I don't get any hits, they're not going to get any either. Is that right? Oh, yeah. You know, Oz and I have talked about that when I came up in 84 and 85. And the thing with it, Oz said he went through his career where he didn't get a lot of hits, but he was going to make sure he didn't give up any. And that was something that we worked hard at in '85, and we continue to work. So if I'm having a time struggling, if I'm not having a time struggling, I'm going to make it hard on everybody to get some.
Hey, Terry, you had a 19-game hitting streak. Are you on videotape so that you can study it for the rest of the year whenever you feel you're in a slump?
Yeah, in fact, Vinny, I'm on my way home now to do so. I've worked pretty hard. I did a lot of off-season work, and I worked with a guy named Al Tetrout in La Mirada, California, and he's got a switch hitters club going on down there where he's working hard with a top hand bat, and everything's been going good for me so far this season.
I was told years ago by Jim Gilliam. I asked Gilliam, what's the toughest thing about being a switch hitter? And he said, not being hit by the pitch, because you're moving around so much that you might instinctively react backwards and get nailed. What's the toughest thing for you as far as switching?
Well, I think the thing with me is when your bat seems to go one way, when you're not hitting one way, it seems to go that way both ways. You know, when you're not hitting left-handed, you go to the right side of the plate, and you worry about hitting left-handed, and you're up there right-handed, and you start struggling that way too. So the biggest thing with me is trying to keep everything set, you know, from both sides of the plate, which is the hardest thing to do because you got to work twice as hard.
Terry, on the bench with that Cardinal ball club, do you guys feel that you can score at any time if you get somebody on and manufacture a run?
Oh yeah, you know, we can be 2 outs in the ninth with nobody on and down a couple of runs, and we really feel like we can come back and make the game interesting. And that's something that you have to give a lot of credit to all our ball club and our reserves especially.
Terry, thanks very much. Congratulations on a fine performance. You're hitting about 50 points above your lifetime batting average. Tommy Herr lined out to left. He grounded out, then had a double and 2 singles, a stolen base, wound up knocking in 2, scoring 2, and it was quite an afternoon. And it certainly looked like it was 1985 revisited. We'll forget about last year, Tommy, and welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be back, both winning as a ball club and performing better as an individual.
I should say better. Just for a moment without dwelling on it, but in looking at 85 and 86 and now looking at it now, what was the difference? What happened to you last year?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. First of all, the whole team kind of went sour together, and I think we as individuals in the lineup tried to do a little bit too much, picking the slack up for the other guy, and consequently we all went down the tubes together, and we did regroup a little bit the second half and made a run for it and finished third, so the season wasn't a total waste, but anything less than first place isn't satisfactory in our clubhouse, so we were determined to come back and make things better this year.
You know, Tommy, I guess the biggest improvement would be against right-hand pitching. As a left-handed batter, you fell off 100 points, and now you're coming right back up and hitting over 300 against right-handers again.